Hello, students. We are meeting again for our environmental lecture, and under this, we have started introduction to green chemistry, and we have finished some of the initial parts of this chapter. And in the last lecture, we have concluded at environmental pollution, and in that we have discussed what is exactly meaning of pollution, where we have discussed that any chemical, anything that goes beyond the certain limit is called as pollution. Maybe it is decibels of sound, maybe it is intensity of light, maybe it is a concentration of any chemical in water bodies or in atmosphere or in the land mass, anything. So when it goes beyond the certain limit, uh, then it becomes a pollution, and the entity which is responsible for this crossing the limit is called pollutant. Then we have discussed the sources of pollution, and we have discussed in detail. And main source of this pollution, main responsible culprit factor is anthropogenic activity. Anthropogenic means human activity. Okay, and this anthropogenic activity, it is mainly industrial activity, agricultural activity, other man-made activities were discussed. There are some natural activities also, like volcano or extraterrestrial activity, but they are not too much contributing to environmental pollution. Mainly, it is an anthropogenic activity. Then the biogenic sources activities. So all these contributed to the pollution. Now, how this question comes in mind of human being, that why to think over, because in the first half of the 20th century, or first of the 20th century, it is called as a boom of technological development, and all over the world, human being was enjoying the fruits of that technological development. Technological development, industrial development causes the lots of financial and economical growth. This financial and economical growth gives rise to greed of human being. This greed to snatch, to grab everything which is not even necessary, that is responsible for pollution. And after the Second World War, there are some incidences, some events which happened, and people start thinking about the real face of this industrial technological development, what we are going to get out of this development, what we are going to leave behind for the next generations. So all these questions came in mind. It may be sometimes philosophical, but it is scientific and practical also. So some of the incidences I have discussed with you, like Minamata disease, or Bhopal tragedy, Chernobyl tragedy, number of tragedies due to pesticide ingestion. So where I had discussed with you. One incident that I discussed with you in last lecture, that is regarding improper disposal of chemical waste in one of the part of New York, that is Love Canal site near Niagara Fall. They dump the chemicals, and later on, when people started uh, living over there, they developed schools, houses, and uh, they have developed it for use of human being domestic purpose. Slowly these chemicals started to released in landmass, and inevitably they first go in the water bodies, and from water bodies they entered in our human life cycle, which causes very threatening situation, which then people started thinking why it is happening. When they come to the root cause, that dumping of chemical waste is the basic reason, then uh, they started thinking about it, why it is happening, where we are committing mistake. And first thing what they did was uh, command and control approach. Okay, so what is this command and control approach? In this command and control approach, you have to command means here the government orders or it commands to reduce the pollution. So and by ordering and by following these rules means they have to develop the system where the government is ordering to people how to behave in that situation, so that how to control the pollution. So this specifies maximum allowed concentration of pollutants in the atmosphere or water, and thereby restricts the amount of pollutants that can be discharged in the waste streams. So once the chemicals were buried, they are disposed in landmass improper way, you cannot at once remove them. So initially, to control that, they have to command that they specified the allowed concentration of pollutants. Okay, so that at least means it cannot be become zero, but at least it can be controlled up to some extent. Okay, then these efforts have resulted in implementation of technology to remove or neutralize pollutants in potential waste streams and stack gases. Means pollutants are going to be released. That becomes the situation has gone out of hand. So beyond the control, so they started to develop the technology so that they can neutralize, they can control, they can stop the bad effects of these uh, pollutants. Okay, so the numerous techniques developed and used uh, are chemical precipitation of water pollutants. Means they used to collect all the sewage water. If there are suppose metal impurities are there, like heavy metals, they by adding some chemical they used to precipitate, and thus by filtration they remove the metal pollutants. They can if there are acidic pollutants, they can be neutralized. If there are some poisonous gases or some health anti-health, you can say, gases are there, they can be scrubbed by passing through some scrubbing tower. And they can be waste there can be waste immobilization. So waste can be collected at some place and then they it is treated. So these are the some, you can say, mm, superficial or initial kind of treatments or solution they try to find out. So in the US, release of chemical to environment is tracked through toxics release inventory. Means they have to develop the system, like to stop any crime. You have to develop the system. What is that system? The police system. The police take care of the these whatever crime is happening. Same thing is here. If some institution, some company, some industry is releasing the chemical, then it should be controlled, and that is to be controlled by toxics release inventory. Like in our India, we have pollution control boards. Okay, so these pollution control boards not only suggest the remedy, but at the same time, if mm, any ill element of the society, antisocial element, they try to spread the pollution. So this pollution control board can take action against them. Similarly, US have developed this inventory. This inventory has information regarding the release of more than 300 chemicals. Okay, So chemical industry products, metals, paper manufacturing, transportation equipments, plastics, fabricated metals are the major sources of environmental pollution that you can uh, easily understood. That these are mostly the industrial things. So without treatment, if they are just released in the water bodies, natural resources, obviously natural resources are going to damage. They are going to polluted, and this is though like not in my backyard, though we may not see this, but it is going to affect our life. So in spite of this disheartening situation, the command and control regulations have been successful in reducing waste and improving environmental quality. Means right now, suppose if you visit around the Pune city, there are various MIDCs. If you visit them, if you go nearby talukas, if you roam around Pune district, you will find that there is one MIDC at Daun, one MIDC on Pimpri Chinchwad side, on Nashik Road, on Satara Road. So there are a number of various industries producing different kinds of products. So in producing that, they release the chemicals, they find the wastage. So if we can control them, if we can use command and control system, then up to some extent you can control the um, situation and improve the environment quality. However, this is what happened is happened. Okay, so whatever is happened, just you have to correct it. But hereafter in future, such things should not happen. Taking into account this, that means prevention is better than cure. Means let the industry is uh, let the industry start the plant, then let the chemical go in the water bodies or in atmosphere. Okay, and then see the bad effect, and then start the command and control. So that should not happen. Okay, so up till now, whatever is happened, we have tried to control it by command and control approach. But hereafter, one should take care that prevention is better than cure. Means whenever a person approach to government body, government authority for uh, starting a new industry, then that person has to get it certified from concerned authority that this is not going to affect environment. Okay, so the rather than cleaning and dealing with pollutants after producing them, it is better to prevent the production of pollutants. This is why Pollution Prevention Act was passed. Okay, so this is what I'm telling, that is about US. Same is the story in India. We are awakened little bit late, but still all over the world now people are awake and aware. They are preparing such acts, they follow it, and they are trying to somehow reduce the existing pollution, and they are trying to take care that in future also such things will never happen. So the such act which is there in the US called as Pollution Prevention Act, that act says states that whenever possible wastes are not to be generated and their quantities are to be minimized. Okay, so before you start the industry, especially chemical industry or any other industry where the pollution is going to um, form or pollution is going to be created. So in such case, how you can reduce it? So before that, you have to take responsibility, means concerned industry, and they have to explain, they should have a plan how they will control, how they will process, how they will minimize the threatening effect of such chemical. So they, it should be it is mentioned in that act that whenever possible, waste should not be generated. And if at all it is going to generate, how the quantities and the bad effect can be minimized. So thus pollution can be controlled by simple measures such as reduction of solvent evaporation to more sophisticated approach of redesigning of manufacturing process with waste minimization as top priority. Means here, when we say in short prevention is better than cure, then you cannot stop industrialization, you cannot stop the development, because that is very important. But when you want to progress, but at the same time with taking care of environment, then in that case you have to work, you have to research on fundamental things. Okay, so how one can develop a technology without any pollution, without any damage to environment. So people have to think. Earlier people were just concentrating on the product, target product, but they were not taking care of at the cost of what we are doing. Okay, what are the byproducts, what are the energy consumptions, what are the requirement of reactants, what will happen if the reaction doesn't go 100%, what will happen to the waste product. So they were not taking care of that. So here, before now, we have to think about the all these things before starting a industry. Okay, and that process makes the chemistry as green chemistry. So that gives rise to birth to the green chemistry. So what is this green chemistry? Now again we have to go to behind and start thinking. Okay, at the beginning of chapter we have seen that our environment is made up of five spheres. That is, which are those? What is that? Geosphere, uh, hydrosphere, atmosphere, uh, then biosphere, and last one is anthrosphere. So actually, except anthrosphere, all the four are the part of natural environment. Anthrosphere is a part that we have created through our industrial development. So here we know that all the processes which are taking place, they cannot be separated, isolated for each sphere. They are interlinked. For example, take an example of hydrosphere. Hydrosphere means the sphere of water, that we talk in terms of liquid. Here we consider liquid, but due to evaporation every year, water goes in atmosphere in the water vapor form. Again it condenses, again it precipitates in the form of rain, then it flows through land mass underground or over the ground, and then it again come to the ocean. This cycle continues, but in this you can see from hydrosphere water goes to atmosphere, from atmosphere to geosphere, from geosphere when it travels over the surface or below the surface, it comes in contact with biosphere. Okay, and then at the end again it goes to the hydrosphere. Means in this journey, this is I am giving just a one example. This journey tells you that hydrosphere cannot be isolated just as a liquid. It goes in the atmosphere as vapor, it goes on land mass as water bodies, it goes in bio sphere as water, because water is a need of by living things. So all these, they are interconnected. Okay, so you cannot exclude any one of that. And anthrosphere is a kind of intervention. Actually, it's not a good thing. So it's an intervention in the interconnectivity of all these four spheres. So in a way these five spheres are interconnected with each other, which we cannot neglect. Okay, So nature has, in short we can say, nature has woven an intricate fabric of interactions between terrestrial, atmospheric, aquatic and living system on earth. Another sphere which is man-made, that man-made part of environment and used for human activities, that is anthroposphere. So earlier humankind lived on earth with simplicity, that all of you know. So they live with simplicity. They gathered the food from nature, so natural sources. This affected the environment minimally. Means they were not using any kind of technology. But the greed of human nature tried to, maybe this greed is because of laziness, that human being does not want to work daily, so it has to be collected and stored. So once this storing limit cannot be endless, it is endless actually. There is no limit for storage. So it's, they started to grab, they started to snatch from environment, and that has resulted in loss in balance of the processes. When due to the, and for this greeding nature, human beings started to develop the technology that we say we are very proud of our brain work. But that is not 100% true. Up to some extent yes, it is helpful, but in some cases it is not. So with the development of this technology and industrial revolution, there has been an overwhelming impact. This is not a good impact in some cases, you can say. So this overwhelming impact on environment as a whole. So you cannot say that this industry has developed our human life. Rather, this has become, this made our life artificial life. We are not living a natural life. For example, the person who is living in ice cold area, like which is near to the polar region, for example somewhere in Canada, somewhere in Russia, somewhere in Europe, these people are facing a very cold environment, so they want a warm environment. Okay, so up to some extent this need is okay, but after that daily they want it continuously, so they have to keep their offices, their homes warm, and for that they consume lot of energy. Okay, at the same time the person who is from hot temperature region, which comes near the uh, so it comes near somewhere away from your polar region. Okay, so that like you can say, uh, I forgot that word. So that somewhere, if you see the whole map, if you plot a horizontal line, then consider India and similar countries like South Africa or in South America. Wherever you go, there is a hot, or you can say Middle East. So they are a hot temperature area. So in that area, what happens? A lot of energy is there, lot of sunlight is there, so that causes rise in temperature. So people from that area, they want to use ACs for cooling purpose. So actually we have to cope up with nature. So people's human greed of human nature has tried to go against the nature. Means wherever there is a cold season, we try to make it warm. Wherever there is a hot season, like summer season, we try to make it a cold atmosphere. So use of heaters, use of ACs has compelled us to go away from nature. So whenever you go close to nature, means you are trying to adapt the that lifestyle. Okay, so here uh, this greedy nature means somewhere Gandhiji has made the statement, there are ample sources for everyone's need, but there are very less for someone's greed. Means if you have less expectations, if you live a very simple life, not a lavish life, luxurious life, then there are ample sources. But if you want to live luxurious or artificial kind of life, then these are sources are not enough for a single person also. So this has given rise to the threat to environment, that is in the form of pollution. So today time has come that we think how we meet the needs of present generation without compromising the ability of future generation to meet their needs. We need to think how well we can live within the means of nature. Okay, so we have to reduce our undue expectations. Okay, so nature has given numerous example of creating food energy without causing damage to the environment. Photosynthesis, respiration, enzyme catalyzed reaction in the body are some of the important examples. Nature provides us with laws which can be usefully applied for a better and safe environment. Okay, so this interconnectivity of sphere tells us that it is we cannot we are the part of this nature, and we cannot go against the rules of this nature. So there was one person, Janine Benius. So she has written that article, biomimicry innovation inspired by nature. Means here how our technology should go ahead, especially we are dealing in this subject, chemistry, so that should be a green chemistry. Means what is the difference between chemistry and green chemistry? When you do not take care of environmental process, environmental threats, environmental damages, then it becomes a chemistry. But when you take care of all these uh, aspects in positive manner, then it becomes a green chemistry. So that lady has written this article in general, and which gives out some laws, some you can say outcomes, conclusions. What are those conclusions? That nature runs in sunlight. Means nature has only one source of energy, that is sunlight. Okay, and that is sufficient. Second point, if you see carefully, nature uses only energy it needs. Means there is no some greed kind of race, that if my today's purpose suffice, I should be happy. Okay, I should not go on grabbing and storing it for my personal use, and all the things. So here nature uses the energy which it needs, that much only. It does not ask for or grab any excess energy. Then nature recycles everything. Okay, so if there is no grid, whatever products are formed, for example, suppose living things, for example, we inhale. Okay, so we require oxygen, we inhale it from atmosphere, and in the exhalation, that is as a product, we excrete carbon dioxide. But at the same time, plants, they inhale the through respiration, they take in the carbon dioxide, which is our product, which we you can say discard from our body, that is taken up by plants, and they use it for photosynthesis, and in that photosynthesis they produce two useful products for animals, that is food and oxygen. Both are consumed by animals, so it is a mutual thing, and due to this mutual process, nature recycles everything. Here nature recycles everything means here nature recycles everything that is produced naturally. Here we cannot consider the man-made material like plastic. so that cannot be recycled. Okay, mostly it could not. Nowadays people are thinking about it, but nature recycles everything. Nature rewards cooperation. So here you can, the example which I have given of plants and animals, it is a mutual cooperation. Means by breathing we are not only living our life, but by breathing we are helping, we are cooperating plants. At the same time plants are also taking in carbon dioxide and producing food and oxygen. So by in this process they are, plants are also living their life. Okay, but at the same time they are cooperating to live the animals also. So this nature rewards cooperation. Then nature banks on diversity. So obviously if one has to take the discarded thing by other, then it, there should be diversity. Similarity will not help. Okay, so nature banks on diversity. Nature demands local expertise. Means here for human being we want American technology, or American people wants Indian philosophy, or somewhere China wants Russian technology, or this kind of exchange goes on. We do not depend on local, we are going global. Okay, but nature does not do. Whatever fruits are, suppose are cultivated, suppose in Maharashtra, same fruits may not be able to cultivate in ice region like Europe. So here, because the local environment helps that crop, whatever is crop is the you will find in Middle East, that may not be available in South America. So both the you can say season, environment, temperature, everything is different. So they have to rely on local things. So that is called as nature demands local expertise. Nature taps power of limits. So obviously, just now I give an example that if you uh, have a crop of chili, for example, Badgi chili is very you can say hot. So what happens? Same chili, if you cultivate in some cold region, it does not, it loses its taste. So within limits, it shows its power. So nature taps the power of limit, and nature curbs excess from within. Nature is not at all dependent on any other thing. Nature itself is a self-sufficient system. So all these things they come out of this biomimicry. Means here what the author wants to say, that whatever technology you want to develop, just observe the same process in environment. For example, if you want to develop aviation technology, for example aeroplanes, okay, so you just observe how the bird flies, what is their shape, what is their weight, how they maintain the energy. So if you see aeroplane, its shape and size, it looks like a bird only. So that is a biomimicry. Okay, if you want to go if you want to make any submarine, so go and see the life cycle of a whale or a shark or any other fish species, then you can understand how to survive in water. Okay, so all these things are necessary. And this is called as a biomimicry, you have to mimic them. Okay, so as far as our chemistry is concerned, we have to also think about it, that green chemistry is a biomimicry. Okay, means whatever natural process, whatever chemistry behind the natural process is there, same thing we have to take into account while developing the new technology. So that is very important. So here we are dealing with the green chemistry. Then what is this green chemistry? This is you can say we have to think about using the renewable energy, we have to think about the biodegradable materials. So all these things, these are just superficially I am pointing out, there are n number of things. So you have to first learn the natural process, the chemistry behind the natural process, and if taking into account the same thing, if you mimic it means you try to develop the similar kind of process for your development, then it is called as biomimicry. So you can say here chemomimicry, and that is the green chemistry. So what is the green chemistry? The sustainable, safe and non-polluting practice of chemical science. Here you have to sustainable. So sustainable means process should sustain. When the process or anything technology will sustain, when you are not only concentrating on the benefits of it, but at the same time the completion of process, means where the byproducts will go, where the other unwanted products will go, how they can be recycled, is it safe, is it non-polluting, then it becomes a green chemistry. So, sustainable, safe, non polluting practice of chemical science and manufacturing in a manner that consumes minimum amount of energy and materials while producing little or no waste material as nature does. Means if you see any natural process, say photosynthesis, is there any byproduct or any product which is a waste material? No. Food material is necessary, oxygen is necessary. Okay, so now consider our inhalation or breathing process. What is the raw material we need? Oxygen we need. So that oxygen, due to burning of food or digestion of food, it get converted to carbon dioxide. So animal does not need carbon dioxide, so they exhale. But this carbon dioxide is not a waste material, which is a starting material or raw material for plants. So just by taking this one example, you can understand the interconnectivity. So that's why I started with interconnectivity of 5 sphere. So same thing should happen when we develop a technology, a new method. So the main purpose of this green chemistry is to develop eco-friendly and environmentally benign chemical technology. Replacement of replacement of organic solvent and minimize the waste product. Use renewable feedstock or use of biomass. Minimize energy consumption. Use mild reaction conditions and use more eco-friendly chemical products. So this is the main purpose of green chemistry. Means you have to develop the chemistry, you have to develop the technology, you have to move ahead, you have to find out the solutions, but with taking into account what will happen to nature. Okay, without producing any waste material, without consuming the excess energy, without producing any damaging chemical, without or using the renewable kind of energy. So all these things, if they are there, then certainly it becomes a green chemistry. Okay, nowadays if suppose if you are using say electric energy for driving the vehicle, so they RTO gives you a number plate which is green in color. So whenever you go close to nature, means when you follow the nature, same thing, biomimicry. So in your innovations, if they are inspired by nature, like aeroplane, follow how bird fly, then you can fly in the same way. So same thing are useful. For example, if a bird is flying very fast, same technology was used in making the bullet train. Bullet train speed cannot cross about through 270 kilometer per hour. When it enters in the tunnel, it experiences lot of oppose because of shape, rectangular shape of the engine. But slowly they tapered the mouth or the first wagon or engine wagon of the train, and they overcome that problem resistance, and the bullet train has crossed the 360 kilometer per hour speed also. So it is running at the fastest faster than sound. So here, if you go watch the nature carefully, then you will get the answers. So in other words, this green chemistry is a sustainable chemistry. So here, at this point, we conclude that what is green chemistry? It is the chemistry that gives you sustainable lifestyle. Sustainable means it not only take care of your betterment of life, but at the same time it takes care of your life of future generations. Okay, so that greedy nature should not be there, then only green chemistry will be developed. So here we'll stop, friends. We'll talk about the next topic in our next lecture. Thank you.